That is a pretty big drop. But it's not bigger than the Minnesota Timberwolves, who last year was first at 108.4 with a defensive rating, to this year they are currently 14th in the NBA with a 112.2. And I gotta say, that is a massive drop off. And this is a big year for Anthony Edwards. This is a big year. He had a lot of hype behind his name last year. The starting five did a great job of setting him up this year to be the star of the NBA. Right? A lot of people want to call the NBA a reality TV show, a sitcom, whatever it is that they want to call it. Well, they were kind of serving it up for him to be the star of the NBA this season. And this isn't to say that he hasn't played well, because he has played well. But I don't think that he's figured everything out yet. I think he's got most of the ingredients that he needs. He just now needs to start understanding how much of each. All right, is this how much salt we need? Is this how much pepper we need? Does it need this? Does it need that? But how much? And now he gets to deal with problems in the NBA. He not only lost his co-star in Karl Anthony Towns in the offseason, but now he has to adjust to Julius Randle, who's not just a big personality, but also a player that demands touches from the ball, right? And you add a Dante DiVincenzo, who's already in trade rumors 15, 20 games into the season. So there's some turmoil in the Minnesota Timberwolves camp. And the most eye-opening thing for me was the incident between Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle, where Julius Randle chose to not pass Rudy Gobert the ball, who sealed Scotty Barnes under the paint. And a lot of people were talking about how Randle should have passed him the ball. Well, I asked the question, why didn't he? And the only reason you wouldn't pass someone the ball in that situation that, you know, seemingly has an advantage. Rudy Gobert is much bigger than Scotty Barnes. And the only logical reasoning that I could come up with is you don't trust that person in that situation. In a situation that's supposed to be easy, that's supposed to be an easy basket. He's supposed to be able to dunk on this guy easily. And this guy doesn't trust you. Now, why? Is it a lack of time? Does he not see you putting in the work to know what you can do in that situation so that he could foresee what you're about to do? Maybe he doesn't see you working on your game, which now then that's very telling of Rudy Gobert as a player. And I think it's a fair question to ask. I get it. On the surface, it was a bad play by Julius Randle. But let's look deeper into it. In a Rudy Gobert that hasn't added to his offensive game, let's just call it what it is. When he scores, it looks like it's an accident. And now there seems to be an issue between him and Julius Randle. And they could say it's nothing and they could talk it out and get past it. But clearly there is something there, and it's a lack of trust. And when you have a lack of trust, that is hard. That's hard to gain. Trust is hard to gain in any situation. And so this is the current scenario of the Minnesota Timberwolves that Anthony Edwards now has to navigate. So this season, I think, will tell us exactly where Anthony Edwards is heading in this story that he's trying to write. This year is when the storm hits for him. A completely new team. Mike Conley is 35. Cat left. Julius Randle is here. You guys are trying to adjust. The dog that came with him, Dante DiVincenzo, supposedly wasn't happy with him coming off the bench. And now is in trade rumors. He hasn't had a great start. Maybe now there's an issue between Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle. Very quickly, the same media members that called Anthony Edwards the next Michael Jordan will all turn on him. And it'll be simple questions like, why isn't he an MVP candidate? Why isn't he leading his team? Why aren't they above 500? Why isn't this? Why isn't it that? And it'll very quickly shift. So I think this season will tell us exactly what type of career Anthony Edwards will have, depending on how he handles it and how he comes out at the end of the year. And it'll tell us a lot about where the Minnesota Timberwolves will be and if Anthony Edwards will ultimately stay there long term moving forward.